Oh, dear. Oh, where's me aspirins? I've got a fucking headache from hell today. I think it's some sort of sinus thing. Right. I think I'll leave Mr. E and try Super Fandom. Oh, you pain in the ass. Oh, that's annoying. I'll just have to do this one and then jump out of him and then... Oh! So yeah, it's not new to me though. I've seen the same thing happen before. There's a thing that happens on YouTube called YouTube Burn, where people basically they wear themselves out. Usually, it's actually it's more creators than people who. Sometimes it's people who review things. Sometimes it's people who I'll go for that one. Be a bit silly. None. There. Yeah, people burn out on YouTube. Usually, it's why I'm tempted to do my own thing. I've got to sort of sit down at some point and work out how to use. It's basically like a broadcast thing where you can broadcast whatever is in your search engine onto a video.
Must fill the soul wells with souls.
There's a bloke I quite like called Bubonic on YouTube who does pretty much that. Except for I'm probably not going to go as X-rated. He usually starts his show with tits and arse, so you know, it's like, I don't be doing that. But what the thing that I'm trying to get off the ground would be, I think, an idea I had. In that I've seen lots of shows that do clips and stuff, but they don't do much else. They're not doing it for any sort of logical pursuit. Me, I want to do a thing I will be calling Alphabetti Internetti, a bit like Alphabetti Spaghetti.
Sentinel of Magic nearby has an amulet that will help you find
where
her.
Basically I look for videos that start with the letter A, and the next week something starts with B.
Captive nearby, guarded by his
talk about myself, do a little bit of talk about
Zatanna and defeat his plans.
Whatever, you know, basically anything on the internet starting with that letter that week, and then eventually I'll get to Z, and then I'll go backwards, and then, you know, go on from there. Maybe get some people in. I'd love to get someone like, say, Scuba My Steve, who's this bloke on Twitter, who I really like, he's a libertarian. He's a bit of a conservative libertarian, because I'm a social libertarian, so, you know...
You've got to help! Help us!
I want to see government as something like any other system, you know, like fire and police. Not given any special treatments, not paid any major wages. You know, not given fucking state funerals when they die either. That really pissed me off. Fucking state funeral for Margaret Thatcher, the person who did so little to actually help her fellow English people. Now, please don't crash. Please don't crash. Oh, it didn't crash this time. Whew. Come on, little magical buddy. Christ, the number of times I've watched the original Superman. I think I first saw it when I was about 5, but ever since I've been like fucking addicted to the idea of superheroes.
You may have defeated the others, but you won't get past me.
You know, an extension of the concepts of superheroes with the fight between good and evil. Pretty much the backbone of why I like wrestling.
Will be boundless.
You know, it's where you get anti-heroes as well, which I've always been quite a fan of the anti-hero. Yeah, so the whole Tonka thing, it's now a level where I think he's probably going to, as well as burning out, I think he's going to say something to the wrong person and something's going to happen and then he'll be gone from the internet, because this is exactly what happened before with, there was a YouTuber back in the day called Fake Sagan. And he had very similar attitudes to Tonka. Let's see if I can find Superman. Oh, no. Alright. What if we got Superman 3 OST? Yeah, Fake Sagan, it got so toxic, his relationship with other YouTubers, that he ended up live on a stream pulling a gun, and I think he pulled it on The Amazing Atheist, and he was very drunk, but you know, he had a channel that was pretty much the same shit as the Commentaries, except for it was like a one-man show known as I think it's Ponage, something like that. Ponage, he said. Hard Case Pones You, I think it was called. But yeah, and it that level of toxicity and that level, as well as the paranoia thing, that whole server thing with Crown Tea,
You shall pay for
Tonka
this.
seems to take that to heart, and he took it to heart that Jeff Holiday was somehow a traitor. And I'm like, I looked at all the server information. Tonka's not on there. Failure's not on there. It's got nothing to fucking do with him. But, like I said, he's so paranoid now that he's got to be the centre of attention. He's got to be, like, I think Robert Heinlein said it, he's got to be every bride at every wedding and every corpse at every funeral. And it's a bit pathetic, really. It's like, you know, drama that's got nothing really to do with him, but he takes it all personally, and I'm like, that's a bit weird, mate. You know, that doesn't really make a lot of sense. You know, it'd be like me getting upset every time Donald Trump said something stupid. You know, something there's not computing.
You shall pay for this. You will never defeat me.
You know, you got to be realistic sometimes, especially with all this online drama. Oh, good, I found this. This is Superman 3. This is the first one I saw at the cinema. It was with my mum. And it was a little bit more of like a black comedy than a standard drama film. Even though the first Superman film isn't really taking itself seriously all the way through, especially all of the Lex Luthor stuff and Otisburg.
I have failed. Faust.
Faust's spell of silence was really cramping my style. I'll track him down, you stop his mages. Find Faust!
Oh, for fuck's sake, my armor's shit. There's even a bit in it actually frightened me when I was a kid, where the villain's sister gets taken over by the robot, and this is before I knew anything about Brainiac. And it was actually supposedly one of the earliest drafts of the script actually had the villain in Superman 3 being Brainiac. I can't fucking win. I think this is playing the music out of order. Yeah. Never mind. It also had a hint that Superman becomes Bizarro as well. That there's a scene where Superman and Clark Kent split off from each other and have a fight in a scrapyard. Buddy. Let's kick this broad's ass.
I have failed, Master Faust.
You'll pay for this! You will never defeat me!
Ooh, ooh.
You will never defeat me! Faust's rage will be boundless!
To get myself some magical armor, I think. My character is distinctly not Superman.
Initiate field report. It's still warm to the touch.
Thanks. Faust's spell of silence was really cramping my style. I'll track him down, and you stop his mages.
Oh, Christ!
Find Faust!
Yeah, the you know, the skeptic community as a whole has been pretty much dying since fucking Trump's election, but Jesus Christ, some of the twats I've got in them now. The whole JF Gabadoo, whatever his name is, I think he's actually intellectually dishonest because the whole race realism stuff. He can't be that naive to not realise what it is. That race realism, all it really is a rebranding of social Darwinism. You know, he's either massively dishonest about the whole thing, or he's just, well, I think
Brainiac is attacking. He's targeting
really
sites to bottle and bombarding us with troops.
It doesn't seem like he's being honest at all. It seems like he's
took out a Brainiac ship, so taking out his forces on the ground should be a cakewalk.
Attack.
Staging his front line nearby.
Well, he's mainly attacking the standard right wing, not the extreme right wing, which seems really weird to me. You know, if you're going to win over people, you want to win over the people who are actually in power. You don't want to win over the loons on the fringe. But you know, that's pretty much what he's doing now. You know, it's not. Well, it's not honest for a start. It's a dishonest position. Whoa! I'm looking pretty cool.
I'm sure I have something here that can help you. Take a look.
Oh. Christ, I haven't seen Superman 3. Oh yeah, sort of the other week, didn't I? My brain's mush tonight. Now, Man of Steel's the one I haven't seen in ages, because it's not a very good film.
Praise Nabu, you are here.
You know, I was thinking of sitting down and watching Superman vs. Batman and Man of Steel before I went and saw Justice League, but I just thought, what's the point? They're so bad. You know, really, if I was in charge of Warner Brothers, I'd just scrap the whole fucking thing and start again. I'd start off with a Golden Age style story. Just go from there, because how it is at the moment is just really terrible. Voodoo Witch. What's that? It's like a flying zombie Joker. I was watching quite a good stream before I came on here. Robin Gaffer or Gabe Gaffer or something like that. I quite like him. He was in Gamergate, but he was sort of on the lefty side. But you know. Oh, well, actually, something I did watch that I surprisingly actually was. Well, I managed to sit through the whole thing. Was the Richard Spencer on Andy Warski. You know, it was a pretty terrible stream because, I only switched it on because Dick Coughlin was going to be there. And even though he's ripped shit out of me plenty of times on Twitter, I actually quite like Dick Coughlin. You know, he's pretty much... he's one of what I consider normal people on Twitter. He's not like sort of massive ego. I've got 200 viewers, so I'm obviously more intelligent than the general public type character. They usually meet on Twitter, on YouTube, but he wasn't there. Instead they got Sargon. I was a bit, am I going to actually be able to watch this? But I was pretty amazed that Carl wasn't fucking getting all starry-eyed like I've seen him get before. Like whenever he appeared with Milo, it was a bit cringy to watch him because he'd do like an impression of Andy Warski where he'd be sort of, you know, not actually challenging anyone on what they're saying, or fucking roaming millennial who's even more of a cringe for me. You know, that woman just says so much shit, it's amazing. All that fucking trad lifestyle stuff. And you're like, hang on a minute, you're not married, you haven't got any children, yet you're telling other women to go in for the trad lifestyle. I'm like, well, fucking practice what you preach, you silly cow. when I asked her about that on Twitter, she said, "Oh well, I will in years to come." I'm like, well, fucking, you know, why can't other women have that? You know, he's fucking full of shit, dear. You know, at least Lauren Southern is slightly forgivable, because I think 99% of everything that Lauren Southern says is an act. I think she's basically just a troll. I don't think she's honest about anything. You know, it was like that whole thing where she made Tim Pool look like a fucking idiot, where they were at the G8 or G20 or something like that in Germany, and we Antifa people. She went out wearing a white supremacist t-shirt and to get attention, and then Tim Pool was like, "Oh, they know us from the internet." I'm like, no, they don't. They know you because she's wearing a fucking white supremacist t-shirt, you stupid prat. They ended up doing their whole stream from the fucking hotel room. It's like, oh my god. Don't actually report on anything, just go on and on about the burnt cars. Not who actually burnt those cars. Try and blame all the socialists for what anarchists do. Like, you know, Jesus Christ, can you be more dishonest? But, well, that's pretty much what the whole argument with Tonka was about. The anarchists are the ones who set fire to things and break things up. And anarchists don't believe in any form of government. So you can't label every member of the Black Bloc as Antifa, and you certainly can't call them socialists or liberals, because they're not. You know, these people want to remove government. They don't believe in government. They don't believe in any form of power structure. That's why they're anarchists. Every time I told Tonka that, he go, "Oh, no, you're wrong, you're wrong." I was like, well, explain to me why I'm wrong. And he couldn't give me an explanation. It turned into the yelling match.
This is Oracle. You took out a Brainiac ship, so taking out his forces on the ground.
I'm actually a tell lie. I was on the stream one other time. I was on the stream with the fucking Anders Breivik fan, Psycho Hamster. And, you know,
finally, a signal.
That bloke is such a dishonest idiot. It's amazing. You know, he
takes photos almost as swiftly as the fastest man alive.
He called me a pseudo-intellectual, which was funny, because you know, he projects this total lie about Europe being in flames all the time, and it is a lie. Yes, there's been trouble with Islamic extremism. There's been trouble with anarchists. There's been fucking trouble with the IRA. You know, I pointed this out on Twitter. I don't think it was Tonka, it was just someone else I was talking to about the real IRA, who one of their threats was thwarted back in 2016. I'm like, you know, Jesus Christ, you act like these people haven't done anything for 30 years.
I hope that hero kick your ass.
I think it's just laziness myself. Well, Sargon's been accused of that plenty of times, and Ian Miles Chong. They put up a something that they've read. They put up the headline. They put up a small percentage of the actual what's in it, and then when you chase it up, you find out that it's not that at all. It was like Ian Miles Chong put up on Twitter a thing where it was a feminist talking about masturbation and children and all that. You know, the picture on the tweet was of people walking around a museum. Well, it was an art installation with giant dildos.
Damage sustained.
And that had nothing to do with the actual report. The report was connected to it because it was part of the Metro newspaper. And for a start, the report was just about boys, about girls. It wasn't about boys. The picture of the giant dildos was that it was some sort of commemoration for the invention of the rabbit dildo. It's like a vibrator that lots of women have used because, you know, women like to masturbate just as much as men. I was massively surprised when I found that out, but they do. And that's what the picture was about. But the way that Chong had worded it was to suggest that little children should all be using dildos, and it wasn't. It was about how teenage girls should be encouraged by their parents to practice safe masturbation with sex toys and lubricants, things like that. Because lots of girls were using things like the end of a hairbrush and could damage themselves, and it could lead to infections, and it could mean that they don't have any babies because the whole area downstairs, if it's scarred, it can actually prevent
your gifts are gifts from me.
Women from having babies.
Technology.
But Chong don't care about that. His narrative is that he wants everyone to toe his line, and it's twaddle. Let's find a nice entrance. Still got a headache. Ugh. This is the Blade Runner 2049 soundtrack. And I can play it because I don't monetize my videos. Never have, never will.
Objective
inside. You know, part of what I'd like to do in my alphabety internet is if it does become popular and I get more than like 1,000 subscribers, I might look for external advertising and you know, advertise things that I know, like Pornhub and things like that. You know, hunt out advertisers on my own, because that's been that was something I was talking to the Jake from the Bible Reloaded, saying, because they've had problems with demonetisation, and I suggested, well, why don't you look to some of these online atheist websites like atheist book clubs and things like that, mate. Maybe you can get some money out of them and advertise atheist reading for people who are trying to give up faith. You know, that I wish someone had that when I was like in my late 20s, when I was trying to become an atheist.
Critical damage.
Because it'd have made my life a lot easier.
Objective in sight.
Oh, my neck.
Engaging enemy.
I watched a very good series of videos about Doctor Who. So this is the thing that a lot of people I find funny on the internet, like Tonka, like Andy Warski, all these people who seem to think that they're the only game in town, and I'm like, There's tons of YouTube channels that are much funnier, much more quirky, much more silly than anything that the Commentaries could produce. You know, I'm a huge fan of Red Letter Media, mainly because they're very funny and they don't pull their punches. If a film's shit, they'll point out the film's shit.
Critical damage.
I've got to get Blade Runner 2049 at some point. I really enjoyed it. The only disappointment I had was that David Bautista didn't have a bigger role in the film, because he's rapidly turning into one of my favourite actors. He's very good at portraying pathos on screen. He was the major thing why I loved Guardians of the Galaxy 2 so much. There's a very touching scene in Guardians of the Galaxy 2 where it's him and Mantis, and they're on the planet Ego, and they're sitting on a sort of just outside Ego's got like a sort of palace thing.
Ooh, we've made him mad. He's targeting all of my comm frequencies. Luckily, I know a few tricks. So get to Brainiac's Ground Zero. With all those troops and ships, he'll start bottling any moment.
And he sat there with Mantis, and they're looking out on this vast vista. And he says, "This reminds me a lot of the last time I was with my daughter." And because Mantis is empathic by touch, you know, it's just a really touching scene, and it's all in his eyes. He looks like he's close to tears, but he's holding it back because he's quite a noble character. And I was cut up watching it. I was like, oh my god, you know. He should be doing a lot more serious movies, because he was just so phenomenal.
Thanks to you, we know Faust has Zatanna captive nearby, guarded by his enslaved soulless victims. Go, free Zatanna, and defeat his plans.
Hello, traveler.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you require mystical equipment to use in battle?
The equipment? Sell some of this shit. Put on a helmet. Oh, can't unlock it. Booger. Hello. You've missed me talking about why I've completely given up on Tonka, I'm afraid. We've got onto the subject of Blade Runner and David Bautista. It's funny because David Bautista, I was never a big fan of him when he was a wrestler. I always found him a bit of a plodder, as wrestlers go. That he was mainly pushed because of his size.
You've got to stop!
Because supposedly Vince McMahon has a thing for big blokes. It's one of the reasons why oh Christ, what's his name? Did the Urist BR? What the hell does that mean? Urist. Oh, Blade Runner. Yes. Yeah, I liked. Well, the original film's one of my favourites, but the newer one I liked for completely different reasons. I think it was mainly because Ryan Gosling certainly captured more of the concept of a fully grown child. because that's really what was in the original Philip K. Dick novel. Because Philip K. Dick, he had a twin sister who died, and a lot of his stories had women, children, particularly girls, in the stories, who would be the symbol of innocence. He always felt like he'd lost something because his twin had died, and he also had a dislike for his mother for the same reasons. Did you know that? Yeah. Philip K. Dick didn't write Blade Runner 2049. I think it's loosely based on, there was a Blade Runner book made in the early 2000s that sort of gave the background. But I did love all of the elements of canon artificial intelligence feel love, because there was that whole thing with I can't remember the name of Ryan Gosling's character, but he had that digital woman with him. Oh, the original, yeah. I've got the original in about 7 different versions.
You may have defeated the enemy.
I had it on VHS, I had it on DVD. I saw
I have failed, Master Faust.
VCD version, video CD, that I used to play on my 3DO, which I got very cheap. Got my 3DO at old school. I got my 3DO at a car boot sale, and the bloke really didn't know what he was selling. He thought it was a CD player, and I was like, "Oh, well, I'll take it off your hands for a $5."
You may have defeated
I used to use that thing for fucking years. Yeah. I did try to get a CDI a couple of times over the years, but the problem is that eBay is very unreliable. They usually give you CDIs that are broken, and then tell you, well, it might need some repair. If it ever says needs some repair, that means it's fucked, and don't waste your money. But I quite like some retro gaming systems. I've still got my PlayStation 2. And I play a lot of Mega Drive stuff on emulation. Mega Drive Genesis. Yeah, the Genesis system and Mega Drive system are the same thing. They just gave them different names. I think they didn't call it Genesis in... Oh, I like the PS2. Yeah, they didn't call it Genesis in Europe because of religious groups. That and also Sega got a lot of heat, and some people reckon the reason why Sega got heat from political groups was actually engineered. The whole thing about the early CD games like Alone in the Dark, I think it was.
I'll track him down. You stop his agents. Find Faust.
What's called? It's completely gone out of my mind. But there were senators in America saying that they wanted to ban it, and they made a whole huge thing about Carmageddon. Was one of them, I remember. That you know,
get ready,
computer
everyone.
games would make kids violent. Whoa. Yeah, lots of bullshit over the years. It was like virtual reality. You know, if you've watched the film The Lawnmower Man, people thought that virtual reality would be like that in the 90s, and it's not even at that level now. VR
Thanks to you, we know
systems
Faust
still
has
are
Zatanna
a bit.
captive nearby, guarded by his enslaved soulless victims.
I'm tempted to get the
Go,
PlayStation
free Zatanna
VR
and
set
defeat his
because
plans.
supposedly you be able to run
We must weaken Faust. His
games
magents
like
are using
GTA
forbidden
in first
artifacts
person
called
view.
soul wells on innocence.
Well, it was a Stephen King
Initiate
novel,
field
The Lawnmower
report.
Man.
Broken into many tiny fragments, this soul requires extra care.
It's a very kinky idea that the Lawnmower Man's girlfriend in the film, you don't really see it that well, but she, when they find her in bed, she's giggling, and that's because she being a bit of an nymphomaniac anyway. I think it's mainly in the book, and there was a European version that explained it more, but the Lawnmower Man is basically using his psychic powers to give her multiple orgasms, and she's so orgasmed out that she's like lost the link with reality. It's quite funny. There's quite a few books by cyberpunk books that had the idea that, like,
powerful magic to
Strange Days, the film version, Strange Days, isn't as good as the book, but the book version had the idea that you could relive the experience of someone else mentally. So not having a memory of an event like, say, Total Recall, that you could have an experienced event. So you could have the memories of someone having sex with a really beautiful woman, and these memories would be traded like drugs illegally.
Your souls belong to Faust.
William Gibson, that's the name of the writer. Did a whole series of books like
I feel like myself
Barefoot
again.
in the Head, where someone's using a mental projection technology like the internet. People plug themselves into like the internet with like a mind device, and a malicious corporation are actually using users' bodies without them knowing about it to commit murders and things like that. But I've always
destroying the wells
see
is not
cyberpunk
enough.
stuff. What I like about it is, if you read any of the William Gibson books, a lot of the stuff isn't so much just sort of fantasy science fiction. A lot of it's become real. You know, he was writing about versions of like realities that very, very much mimic MMOs and the internet today. Oh, I've got to take care of that woman on the building. Oh, that's great.
Do you see her? Madame Dia perches atop the theatre, greedily using her cursed amulet to entomb the...
I'll end this one soon myself.
You shall pay for this.
Come back here, you silly cow.
You shall pay for this.
Toodaloo. Whoa. What was the enemy? Oh, I've got to upgrade my traits. Oh no, I don't. Oh, it did it automatically, didn't it?
Hey, thanks, dude. Never defeat me! You shall pay for You're like my hero.
Fighting evil. Taking names. Oh. Oh. Ooh.
Whoa,
well, I'm back to the gym tomorrow. Probably, booked a hour with my trainer. Probably be surrounded by loads of people trying to do New Year's resolutions.
You shall pay for this. Oh. You will never defeat me. Oh. You shall pay for this.
I'm not the only one who actually thinks that Blade Runner 2049 is actually better than the original. There was a whole thing on Red Letter Media where they were talking about it.
You're like my hero.
You know,
Whoa,
I don't agree that the
dope.
original's boring. I think it's slow because it needs to be slow because, you know, it's a film about a completely new world and you can't just throw people into a completely new world.
Blasphemer.
And I do like the original's sort of cyber noir look to it, and it did inspire a lot of science fiction. You know, particularly The Fifth Element. Fucking hell, The Fifth Element took massive lumps out of that story.
You shall pay for this.
But yeah.
Interloper.
Well, it won't be this month, but it'll probably be either February or March. But I am going to finally get myself Netflix because
my hero.
hopefully by then the whole first season of Star Trek, the new one, Discovery,
Whoa, that
will
was
be
dope.
accessible because from what I've seen my sisters and stuff. They got
hey, thanks, dude.
It's pretty damn good.
That was dope.
I think all of the people like Mundane Matt and fucking Computing Forever basically full of shit. They were basically saying that, oh, this is SJW stuff on purpose just to get attention. And I think they're being dishonest themselves. Being dishonest with views. But I don't care because Mundane Matt seems to me like a one-trick pony. You know, it's either this is bad, this is terrible, rinse and repeat.
We must weaken Faust. His magents are using forbidden artifacts called soul wells on innocents.
Oh.
Find them and destroy them before they're taken to Faust.
Fucking headache's killing me. I'm not going to have a brain
Faust has
hemorrhage.
retreated to this theater to begin his foul
Oh,
ritual.
nice.
Zatanna has him cornered inside, but he is protected by his magents and she is alone. Join the battle to fight at her side and end
No,
Faust's
I'm not
vile
wearing
plot.
That looks silly. Oh, I tell you what I did see, superhero-wise. I finally got round to watching it. I was a bit bored last night, and you know I'm doing stuff on the internet. So through my PlayStation 4, I got Amazon Prime, and I was watching. I watched Guardians of the Galaxy for probably the 50th time because it's such a good film. But I watched a Justice League one. I can't remember what it's bloody called. 1 minute. I'll have a look on my video. Oh no. Haven't done this in a while. Oh, the disappearing through the floor shit. Right, let's have a look on my videos. Kindle. Movies. Come on. Ah, yeah. Justice League Dark. It's called, and it's got Hellblaze, Constantine, and it's to do with the magic side of the DC universe, and it's pretty good. It's got the Swamp Thing in it as well, because I'm a big Swamp Thing fan, particularly the 1980 Swamp Thing. Yeah, I can't touch the floor or drop through it. It's annoying that every couple of months they do a big like doodah on this where they fix all the bugs, but then sometimes the bugs come back and it's just so fucking annoying.
First you, then the city. Interloper! You will never defeat me! A fresh
It's funny, there was a lot of criticism of Gerard Leto with the Blade Runner movie, and I just couldn't understand what they were talking about. You know, his character's supposed to be distant, and I think he was blind, and he's using like cybernetics to see around him, and he's got a sort of very sort of psychotic view of his position. He believes he's like a god because he's created artificial life. You know, which is actually quite a bit different from Tyrell in the original. Tyrell in the original was more like an artist looking upon what he created, but couldn't see the replicants as living beings. He just saw them as products that he created. Yeah, there's a deleted scene in one of the versions, because there's multiple versions of Blade Runner, where you find out that the Tyrell who plays Roy at chess is actually a replicant. That the real Tyrell is a sick old man in a chest, like a sort of iron lung. Cryogenic sort of thing up in the top of the building. But yeah, he's they played on that idea as well with Mr. House in Fallout New Vegas. Really wish they port that to this system. You know, like they ported.
Release these innocent souls, Faust.
You cannot.
I don't understand why they don't just port
my power is too great.
New Vegas to this, because I think New Vegas is a better game than Fallout 4. Fallout 4, there's just so much busy work in Fallout 4 that it becomes frustrating after a while.
Give me your power!
Don't let them feed their power to Faust.
Oh god, I'm disappearing through the floor.
You shall pay for this!
Hey! Watch it!
Oh, yes! Yes! I drink your power!
That's a few souls Faust won't get his greasy hands on.
Nice. That problem silvered. Faust actually appeared in that Justice League Dark thing as well. But I won't give the plot away because it's one of the better DC animations I've seen. Now, did we complete it all? Also had one of my other favourite characters that unfortunately I haven't seen on this game. The spectral hero Deadman. Oh shit. Let's head home, see if that'll solve the problem. The problem with this game can get a bit buggy, which is annoying. Let's head back to the cop shop.
Impressive.
Well, where's the police station gone?
Faust has retreated to this theater to begin his foul ritual. Zatanna has him cornered inside, but he is protected by his magents and she is alone. Join the battle to fight at her side and end Faust's vile plot.
Yeah, there's one DC movie that I got to see as well, animated one called Gods and Monsters. I've seen bits of it. It's sort of like a mirror universe-y type plot. Ah, there, I'm not disappearing through the fucking floor.
Thanks for the assist with Faust. The
soundtrack to this isn't as good as Vangelis' original. So one slight...
I'll get there when I can.
I doubt anyone could make one as good as Vangelis. You know, I had the extended 4-disc version, which included a lot of music that wasn't actually... that ended up in the film. And there was
I'm sure I have something here that can help you. Take
were
a look.
redone versions, but okay. But yeah, the Blade Runner soundtrack's one of the few that really has stood the test of time. A lot of soundtracks. Like if you listen to the Matrix soundtrack now, it sounds so dated. But Blade Runner's one, amazingly, because it was using a different sort of style completely, it's sort of become a bit timeless. But a lot of...
I call upon you as one who has been proven in battle. Dr. Fate's ward against Trigon has broken. Now Trigon's demons rampage throughout the Tomorrow district. The Science Police's powers are not enough. Defend against this evil, and hurry.
Oh, they're shorts. Everyone can see my legs. Well, I suppose it looks good. Oh, standing at the front door. What's the matter with you idiots? Yeah, there were a lot of concepts in the newer Blade Runner that I really like the artificial intelligence thing. There's that brilliant and very beautiful scene where the hologram girl matches herself up to a prostitute, basically. So the two of them can like simulate making love. But all in all, it was an interesting film because it was more in line with what our technology can become than even the original, which, you know, I found very interesting. You know, the complete the idea of having a pet even that isn't organic, that's becoming extremely popular now. I've seen the videos from
I work for Madame Xanadu's magic shop in Metropolis. We try to keep demon hordes in stock
Boston
for white magic rituals,
and
but
they build robots for military.
Trigon's evil energy is manifesting in dark orbs. Bring them to the circle of purification cast by the science police.
They're
so
really
they can be
sort of one of the groups behind this idea eventually of having cars that will be just like a robot taxi. All you have to do is sit inside them and they'll take you to your destination. There's no need for a driver at all. Which it is quite terrifying though, because of the percentage of the job market are just going to disappear. No, I work on the railways, sort of end of the transport industry. And there's a whole question about what it will actually do to the transport industry. You know, are more people going to travel on trains? Less. Suspicious minds. Oh, it's Tonka, isn't it?
Hey, Happy New Year. There's a crisis developing in Metropolis. I'm not sure what's going on, and that's what worries me the most. Head to the watchtower where I've uploaded what little intel I have.
Stop by to say hello.
The watchtower's orbital perimeter sensors detected a spacecraft entering Earth's atmosphere. It crash landed in Smallville, and I'm concerned for the people there. Head over there and provide support for Dr. Weaver and Starlab.
I call upon you as one who has been proven in battle. Dr. Fate's ward against Trigon has broken. Now Trigon's demons rampage throughout the Tomorrow District. The Science Police's powers are not enough. Defend against this evil, and hurry.
Together, it's suspicious man.
Blood priest.
Yeah, this was fat guy Elvis suit Elvis. I actually prefer 70s Elvis to all his early stuff. Just leaves me completely cold. All that rock around the clock shit, boring as fuck. But I like his 70s stuff because some of it actually had quite a sense of humour. There's a song I like called The US Mail, which is really sort of it's like a bloke boasting to another bloke, don't mess with my woman, and it's just like, it's really over the top and bombastic.
I shall find another shell.
See what you can I'll get out the line of fire and see if I can add some iconic powers. Where's iconic powers? There we go. I want super strength, you see. There. Go on in the drip. Da, 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 da. I'm gonna beat you up with a bus.
You cannot stop destiny. You cannot stop destiny.
You too much, baby.
Trigon is using his daughter, the Titan Raven, to spread his foul energy. Then he will destroy her. Both she and the city are doomed unless we stop Trigon now. Find his demons on the rooftops and destroy their dark conversion vortices.
Code 100, clear to engage. We have a live one.
That's why if you're playing this game and you get iconic powers, look up the super strength because it is a real game changer when you're dealing with demons. You know, you can hit them over the head with a car. It's a lot more devastating than just fists.
We have a live one.
It's very odd, the story about Elvis, why he only toured America, and it was all to do with his manager, the Colonel, who everyone thought was from the south of America, and he wasn't. He was actually an illegal immigrant from Switzerland. And the reason why Elvis never toured Europe was because had he gone and anything happened, the manager would have had to have got on an aeroplane, and he didn't have an American passport. So yeah.
You cannot stop destiny.
My one of my sister's boyfriends years ago, he was absolutely obsessed with Elvis, and we watched Elvis movies and stuff like that.
There's no need
My dad was quite a fan as well, but yeah. Still, my dad had some very odd fandoms. He was a big fan of Muhammad Ali, but it wasn't for his boxing really, it was for his politics, because Muhammad Ali was well, he was racist. He believed that black people shouldn't mix with white
Blood
people.
Priest Chronicle. This gem.
You know, he even said that.
Around it,
He said that publicly to members of the KKK. So yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Muhammad Ali anyway. I think a lot of the fandom of him is misdirected. You know, he was a middle class bloke. He wasn't. People seem to have got it into their head that he was sort of fighting the man, but no. He came from a background that was middle class. You know, really, if you wanted a working class hero boxer, that'd be Joe Frazier. You know, Joe Frazier was born in a log cabin, literally. Also, he's a better boxer. I've always thought Joe Frazier was probably one of the greatest boxers I've ever seen, because he had a no-quit attitude. You know, everyone goes on about Muhammad Ali's rope-a-dope, which basically consisted of trying to tire his opponent out, but that wasn't really a very effective attack plan, because you know, you can do it so many times, but then it becomes predictable. And really, some of the last fights that Ali had, I think everyone had realised his game plan. Even though a lot of people reckon that he lost the Thriller in Manila to Joe Frazier. I've seen the match, and it had the match not been stopped, because Frazier was practically blind. Both his eyes were so swollen up he couldn't see what he was doing. You know, I think that they would have stopped the match because Ali was completely worn out and completely battered up.
Back off!
You cannot stop destiny!
But, Frazier actually had a lot of pretty amazing strategy if you watch the Thriller in Manila, that he wouldn't let Ali get too far from him. Through the whole match, he was like grinding him down slowly, that every time he'd try and back away, he'd follow him, and then he'd step away from him when he was trying to go on the ropes, because you know, Ali had a tendency to try and tire out his opponent by grabbing them and dragging them to the ropes all the time. But it's compared to today with things like MMA, where you've got rounds, you've got 3 to 5 round matches.
Find his demons on the rooftop.
Trying to watch the Thriller in Manila today, it is a bit of a slog. It's quite slow, really. It's a bit like Lennox Lewis versus Tyson. It's not really. You know, it was a big match, but unless you're watching the edited highlights, you will get bored.
And lending their powers to Trigon outside the walls.
I don't watch a lot of boxing nowadays because, you know, MMA is just so much better. And also, a lot in MMA, there's not all the big bullshit talk You know, really, because it's a truer fighting spirit, people don't bullshit their fights.
Good to have you on our side.
Yeah, I even watched the oh Christ, I forgot his name completely. The little Irish fella, I can't believe I remember his name. Boxing match recently, and I was surprised at how slow everything was. I know for a fact that had it been an MMA match, the black guy definitely would have lost. You know, because MMA is a completely different art to boxing.
Good to have you
really,
on our side.
most boxing matches are won by energy over strength. It's how many rounds you can last. But in MMA, it's a completely different ball game.
With insects, feeding on its putrescent testament to Trigon's might.
Stay down.
Well, I'll just get these final three doodahs, and then I'm going to call the end to the stream, because I want to have a look in on the bubonic one.
Great work.
But yeah, to reiterate, I'm done with the whole Kumite, the whole Tonka thing. I think he's intellectually dishonest, and I just think he's a blowhard. You know, I'm not impressed by people who just shout. If I wanted someone who triggers and yells and shouts, I'd have just stuck to watching No Bullshit. Except No Bullshit's probably a little bit more intelligent than Tonka. You know, I've seen No Bullshit having conversations with Destiny that
Trigon holds Raven thralled to his dark will inside the Science Police headquarters.
He wouldn't have the patience.
We must free her. But first, use your power to stop the demons spawning and lending their powers to Trigon outside the walls.
Right, I'm going to end the stream now, because this headache's killing me.
Zatanna confirms that Trigon has possessed Raven utterly. She has taken...
I'll probably do another one soon, but my head's hurting. Toodaloo!